the teacher called him, come again for another beating. He refused to salute. That time, when the teacher gave him the last beating, he told the teacher that you are getting me for nothing and my mother asked you for permission. So don't get me again.
His family describing a rarely seen side of the man who inspired resentment and respect in equal measure, a man they say had a strong moral compass and one who never tired reminding them that greatness is built not in comfort but in consistency and compassion. As the Odinga family laid their patriarch to rest, they reminded the nation that behind the political titan was a man of tenderness whose laughter, lessons, and love will echo through generations. Mary Mwoki, Citizen TV.
And President William Ruto has hinted at a possible alliance with the Orange Democratic Movement Party ahead of the 2027 general elections.
President Ruto assured the ODM supporters that they will not be political orphans and that the party will form a government or be part of the government of the day. Stephen Little has more.
ODM succession politics dominated the burial ceremony of Raila Odinga. President William Ruto taking the lead in assuring ODM supporters of his unwavering support to stabilize the party in Raila's absence.
Kwa heshima ya huyu shujaa wetu, ile kitu siwezi kukubali na nitafanya juu chini Mungu anisaidie, ni wale ambao wanataka kung'oa chama ya ODM na kwenda kuchezea karata ya upinzani kule nje. Hiyo haitawezekana.
President Ruto is the UDA party leader, affirmed that ODM will form government in 2027 in whichever means possible.
Ile kitu mimi nataka niwahakikishie, kwa mapenzi ya Mungu, ODM will either form the next government or be part of the next government.
ODM leaders flexing their muscles before Odinga's body that provided a backdrop for succession talk.
Raila showed us before he died that he wanted us to be in government. As a community, as a party, we will be in broad-based government. We will support broad-based government. We will work with you. Tribute, the only lasting tribute we can pay to Baba and perpetuate his legacy is to enhance and continue with the partnership that he started with President William Ruto.
Another thing he told us, lazima tukae katika serikali ya broad based. Wale wanasikia wasikie, wale wako na macho waone.
And I remember him speaking at the burial of the late Dr. Phoebe Asio, and he said he made a clear decision to work with you for the ability and unity of the nation inside the broad-based government. That is the last standing instruction that Baba gave us. And as a people and as a party, that is where we will stand.
The three ODM deputy party leaders stamping their authority that there is no leadership vacuum in the party after Odinga's death.
Najua kwamba Baba amelala yuko pale. Baba amelala, Baba aenda salama. Lakini jua kwamba Papa wameamka sasa. Wamesema kwamba kulala kwako chama cha ODM kitalala. Nataka nihakikishie umati huu, chama cha ODM sasa ndio tunaanza mapambano. Many people are saying outside there that now that Baba has gone, the party is gone. I want to tell you today that the Baba has left a strong team of able, brave individuals who are ready to run this party.
Leaders leading
I lost sleep just thinking of you. I need to wake up. I need me some love. Now give it to me.
on the pro-broad-based government
I'll follow you. I'll give you all of me. Give me all of you. I gotta go.
told supporters that Odinga's wish was to have his party in government.
Mwaka 2027 we will not be in the opposition. Mambo mawili yatafanyika. Agosti tunapiga kura. September we are either in government or we are government. Joey! And I want to tell you, whoever imagines that anaweza kuvunja chama cha ODM, yeye ndio tutamfukuza, my friend, na ahame. Chama kitabaki. Tuelewane namna hiyo. Si tukisema ODM tunasema tuko tayari. ODM. ODM.
With the Orange Democratic Movement members barring their party leader Raila Odinga in pride, a battle to succeed Odinga kicked off with various leaders flexing their muscles that they are best suited to take over the Orange Party, even as the leadership insisted that the ODM party is firmly in the broad-based government. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV. Siaya.
However, the ODM faction, opposed to the broad-based political arrangement between ODM and President William Ruto's led UDA party, has called for a fresh review of the agreement between the two parties, saying circumstances have changed.
The team led by the party's Secretary General and Nairobi County Senator Edwin Sifuna called for the party to listen to the people first before making a decision on the direction party should take.
He took to the podium breathing fire after taking in tons of missiles from his party chairperson Gladys Wanga, who took several jibes at him.
I, as Sifuna, will do everything in my power to keep this party united and together. Even in the face of open provocation, Baba, you know what I am talking about. You know why I'm saying that.
ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who has been the de facto leader of the defiant wing of the party, opposed to the broad-based government, returning fire in equal measure.
This is not the time to push divisive narratives in ODM. This is not the time. You all know, nyinyi wote mnajua ya kwamba chama cha ODM ni chama cha kila mtu.
Sifuna revisited Raila's last public address in Machakos County on September 22nd this year, when he addressed the ODM National Assembly Parliamentary Group meeting, saying what Raila wanted was in black and white.
Baba alikuwa anasikiza wananchi. Na mimi nataka kuencourage wanachama wa ODM. Sisi viongozi sasa tunyamaze kidogo, tusikie nyinyi mnasema nini. Nyinyi mtuambie mnataka tufanye nini na chama cha Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. Nawaomba viongozi msiingize maneno kwa mdomo ya mtu ambaye amelala. Alisema yeye mwenyewe. Akasema kama chama lazima tujiandae kwa ajili ya uchaguzi wa mwaka 2027. Na wale ambao wanaeneza mambo mengine hapa, Baba alisema who has told you? Who has told you? Sisi tutafuata the last standing instruction ya Baba ambaye alitoa chini ya siku 23 ambazo zimepita kabla afariki.
Similarly, Deputy Party Leader Kisii Governor Simba Arati also joining in the fray, firing up the youthful congregation, charging them to stand up for their party.
Vijana msilale, bado mapambano, 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 bado mapambano. ODM msilale, ODM msilale, bado mapambano, 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 bado mapambano. Asanteni, lazima kura za 2027 sisi kama chama lazima tushinde uchaguzi huo pamoja. Huo wimbo lazima tukumbushane, kwa sababu mapambano sasa ndio tumeanza kuelekea mbele.
On his part, Siaya Governor James Orengo, in a thinly veiled attack, also took an aim at President William Ruto, cautioning him against swallowing the Orange Party.
Let us not kill political parties. Political parties are the foundation of democracy. Any arrangements we enter into don't kill political parties. In 1963, political parties were killed, and it took us 20 years to fight to revive political parties.
Orengo also revisited the scenes of the January 30th, 2018, when the then NASA principals left Odinga high and dry during his swearing in as the people's president.
You know, that day is when I knew there are many people who wear trousers, but they should not be wearing those trousers.
The political landscape in Kenya will no doubt change with the departure of the man who served as its barometer, determining and dictating the speed, direction, and sometimes the pressure applied. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Bondo, Siaya County.
All right, so we're already witnessing the, should I call it scramble?
The beginning of new battlefronts that will be opening soon.
So Raila, Ruth Odinga, in her speech, I think, started it off by saying ODM should remain united, and thereafter the political statements were made despite the admonishment of the Deputy President Kithure Kindiki. But let's have the expert wait. And we have with us in studio Professor Karuti Kanya, who is a governance and development specialist. Prof, what did you make of those remarks? A fiery Edwin Sifuna saying, as the Secretary General of ODM, saying words should not be put in Raila Odinga's mouth.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And let me begin by saying, Baba, rest in peace. But what we have heard from Edwin Sifuna is what we can call typical Kenyan politics every time we are moving towards an election. There is no single political party that survives any single election other than ODM that has survived 20 years of moving from one election to another. And the reason for this is because all politicians in Kenya, all political elites are made cut from the same cloth. They are the same. They keep on changing alliances every other time. Sure enough, ODM is not going to 2027 elections as it is today, especially because of Baba has left. It may be going to 2027 in an alliance with another political party. Those who are in UDA, some of them will bolt out and others will come in. Today, UDA is not the UDA that we had in 2022 because the Deputy President walked out with his faction, and after he moved out, Raila Odinga filled the void. That's the nature of Kenya's political alliance making, and that has been the scenario from around 2002. So that's the first thing to recognize, that ODM is not going to be the ODM party as we know it. It may grow stronger, it may grow weaker, but it's going to 2027 election in a coalition with any other party. UDA of President William Ruto is not going to be the same as well. Even some of the people very strong in UDA may be shipped out, moved out by the presence of ODM if ODM joins it. In other words, I'm simply saying that what we are seeing right now between Edwin and between Sifuna, the Secretary General of ODM, and other members of ODM, the conservatives versus the radicals, as we have seen it, is going to continue and is going to factionalize the party. And once the party is factionalized, they will go to elections in an alliance with another political party. But the most important thing to underline here is that the radicals in ODM do not seem to be having full support of Ruto's wing of UDA, but they seem to be having the support of the rank and file. But what we have seen from the funeral arrangements and from the voices of the general public, Raila was a very strong person. Whoever is likely to mobilize the voice of Raila and say that this is what Raila said for the party, he's going to carry the day. today, and we have got to watch this space with a lot of anxiety, because we cannot say that it's given that the rank and file that we have seen very supportive of Raila will move out. Okay. And I'm saying this simply because for a while now, after the Gen Z route, some people would argue that Raila has lost support. Raila's support has weakened. Raila's political base has weakened. But from what we have seen in the country, Raila has been celebrated more than any other Kenyan leader. I don't think there is anyone within the Eastern and Central Africa region who has ever had this kind of celebration than Raila. And that really tells me it is wrong for anyone to have assumed that Raila was becoming weak.
Okay. Prof, then, will the center hold, given the personality of the former Prime Minister, who everything orbited around him, 20 years since he formed the party? And if you look at the other end of the political divide, the short political shelf lives for political parties has been evident since multipartyism. What then are the risks of the orange getting bitter as we head into 2027? And second, does this present President William Ruto to leverage on the structures of the party and its strong grassroots mobilization to seek re-election through the ODM party, perhaps riding on being part of the members who helped form it in the aftermath of the referendum? And three, what will then the factional divisions that we had seen today on display mean for the party that its leader, who was laid to rest, so desired to see it united?
Let me begin by saying that we need to remember very well that President William Ruto is a founding member of ODM. And having said that, I think he's in a very comfort zone when talking to people in Luo Nyanza in particular. He's not a foreigner within ODM, and if you look at the messages that he was, his own eulogy, his own tributes, it means they had actually become very close together with Raila Odinga. And that's something we have got to bear in mind, that actually they had patched their differences, and once they had patched their differences, there are certain members and leadership within Luo Nyanza who have taken it very seriously, that this is the kind of person to support. So that's the first thing we have got to say, that even if Raila has been laid to rest, I think Luo Nyanza seems to be very comfortable with Ruto, given their own history of having been in ODM together, other than in the past 2 or 3 elections that they have been out of each other. But they have made their different, they have patched their differences. They've been talking at a personal level. He mentioned that he had a dinner with him. I think we have got to watch that space with a lot of interest, that Ruto may be taking ODM rather than taking UDA. And I think that this is a space to watch. And as I have said earlier, the radicals within ODM and the conservatives within ODM are the two forces that are fighting. And it might be interesting to see the radicals like Sifuna, Orengo, and ask what kind of command do they have on the rank and file of the members. And the conservatives, including the Raila's family, Raila's brother Oburu, and the other leaders within ODM. And I think the die is cast. The radicals might be losing, and they may want to form alliances with the others. And that's what usually happens to big parties. The radicals are fewer in number than the conservatives. And what is likely to happen here is that the conservatives may pray a lot that Ruto is going to give them a lot of benefits. But remember, the parties are held together by how much benefits are you getting from the government. You cannot be held together by hope alone. But now if President Ruto can be able to say, these are the kind of benefits that I'm giving and throwing over to ODM faction, sure enough, he's likely to carry the day, because there is no single political leader who would like to wait for a chance for benefits and let it disappear like that. And Ruto has known that. He's likely to throw a lot of patronage resources on their side, and the die will be cast.
All right. So Raila Odinga not only leaves a vacuum on, within his political party, right? On the national stage, just looking at the reports we've already had, this is a man who was described as a stabilizer, because we saw him stabilize not only Daniel Toroitich arap Moi's government. We saw him come in. He said Kibaki Tosha. He's the same gentleman who had two handshakes. One with Uhuru Kenyatta and thereafter with William Ruto under this broad-based arrangement. So what vacuum, in your expert opinion, does he leave on the national stage?
He leaves a very big vacuum because when you look at the opposition leaders, other people who are not in government, and you ask yourself what kind of national stature they have, none of them can claim credit to be a national leader who support cuts across the entire country, and the people people who can be mobilized, who can have support mobilized by virtually everyone. Raila has got support across the country. There are many people in different regions of the country who can die for Raila. Who of the opposition leaders that we have today can we say that people can die for?
People can and have died.
I mean, in terms, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about literal death, but fanatism, passionate. I don't think there is any other opposition leader that we can say people are passionate about. He's the last of the kind. And simply because he has been able to identify with the grievances of the ordinary people, he's been able to reform the country in a very, very big way. The space, the political space, the liberal space that we have today holds much more to Raila more than anyone else. He was not the president, but he was able to push very many social policies by standing on the platform of any particular event and pronouncing certain things, and you'd see that one becoming a debate. Even his own elections, he pushed the country to start issue-based politics in 2022 alongside President William Ruto. But most important is that he brought the issue of social protection and caring for the vulnerable in a more unprecedented manner than anyone else. If you talk about the 6,000 shillings that he had promised, that itself went to the core of many people saying we have poverty in this country and we must address poverty as a national concern. The fight against corruption is something else that we also need to mention very clearly, other than freedom.
Yes, and when we get back from the break, that alongside other governance aspects that he had fought for, despite the repressive state.
I've had him described as a social democrat.
Yes,
he was.
Yes.
Yeah, he was. So we'll proceed, Prof, with you here in the studio. Other leaders who had closely worked with the ODM party leader, the late Raila Odinga, in past presidential bids were also present to pay their final respects. They eulogized him as a Pan-Africanist who selflessly championed for democracy, justice, and good governance.
Among them were Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila's close allies in the 2017 presidential election under the NASA coalition. Let's listen in to what they had to say.
Raila suffered. He had a checkered career. But one thing, Raila never allowed the history to hold him prisoner. He never took his challenges as a life sentence. He stood up, walked, and moved further. We are here because Raila lived in this country.
He was a brother. The pain of it all, the struggle for justice and truth, and the fight against corruption. We called you Joshua. We never got to Canaan. There were indeed crocodiles across the River Jordan, as we used to say. Lakini, I've seen in the printed program, you even paraphrase the late Martin Luther King. You've been to the mountaintop. You've seen the promised land. And you know you may never get there with us, but we have to get there on your behalf. I give you my pledge, those values you stood for, the tears, the pain of a stolen election, as my brother Jim Orengo said, elaborated. That pain will not be in vain.
Mnamo mwaka wa 2007
Janga kuu litokea Kenya. Kenya ikawa karibu kupasuka mara pili mara tatu. Hardliners wakasema we want secession. Nchi ikafichua ushujaa wa baba. Akaketi na mpinzani wake mkuu Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki, na wakaleta amani ambayo imedumu nchi yetu. He fought a strong fight, but he remained loyal to this country. Wakati machafuko yalimalizika, walipokuja pamoja na Mwai Kibaki rais wetu kuunda serikali, wakati walipokuwa wanataja baraza la mawaziri, mimi sikushughulika because I knew I can never be a cabinet minister. Lakini la ajabu, wakati niko kwangu nyumbani naangalia, wakati mawaziri wanatajwa, my name popped up.
Retired President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo have eulogized the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga as a true son of Africa, a leader whose commitment to transformation extended beyond Kenya to the entire continent.
The fourth president called on leaders to copy Odinga's selflessness and dedication, qualities that went beyond personal ambition. Obasanjo, on his part, who played a key role in brokering Odinga's political deals with both Kenyatta in 2018 and William Ruto in 2022, described his life as a lesson in tolerance, love, and devotion. Here's Katete Njoroge.
At the funeral service of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, other family members, thousands of mourners gathered for the final rites. Among the dignitaries who went to bid farewell to their confidant were retired President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Here in this place, I was with Raila on his invitation 31 years ago when Jaramogi Odinga was buried in this place.
Obasanjo, who shared a close friendship with Raila, said their bond was strengthened by Raila's unwavering commitment to champion transformation, not only in Kenya, but across Africa and the world.
One thing that you could not take away from Raila is his love, passionate love for his country and for Africa. And that is what made our relationship to continue to grow from strength to strength. Jacob, we shall miss you. We shall miss you as a friend, a brother, and a leader of this nation. We shall miss your insights. We shall miss your thoughtfulness. We shall miss your wisdom. And we shall miss your laughter.
The close relationship between Obasanjo and Odinga positioned the former Nigerian president as a key mediator in Kenya's political reconciliations. In 2018, he played a pivotal role in the historic handshake between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, and in 2024, once again helped broker peace between President William Ruto and Raila through yet another handshake.
The meeting we had which brought you and Raila together, and which led to you making room for ODM and other parties in your government, is what make this day a pleasant day that it has been. Your deeds will live long, as I said, and we will remember And I pray we remember those deeds and the actions that we shall live, emulating our friend and brother.
For Obasanjo, nothing could come between their friendship. Despite his advanced age, he could go to any length to help Odinga attain his goal to transforming Africa. He went all out in campaigning for Raila to be the AUC chairperson, a seat he lost to Mahmoud Ali Yusuf of Djibouti.
I've lost a brother. I've lost a friend. I've lost a confidant. I've lost a co-worker in the vineyard of Africa.
As curtains close for a revolutionary, a political enigma and a patriot, the two leaders have called on Kenyans, Africans, and the world to emulate his traits. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen TV.
All right, so we are still with Professor Karuti Kanyinga, who is a governance and development specialist. Professor, the handshakes that Raila Odinga entered into were not always popular, and in fact, some branded them handshakes. Why do you think he did so time and again?
Yeah, I think we have got to underline very clearly that it has got to do with the nature of Kenyan politics. Kenyan politics is about deal making. And if you have got to look at it from a pragmatic point of view, that after every election, what we have witnessed over the years is that any winning candidate cannot govern in a very effective manner as long as a very large opposition force is behind. Remember, the victory of margin, the victory margin in this country, if you are winning an election, the margin of victory is always very thin. If it's 2013, it's 0 point something percent. If it's 2017, similarly, it was a very small percent, and then there was repeat election. Same with the 2022 election. So if you are a president, you are left with a question of legitimacy. What you do in the process of legitimacy, you must seek out the people who lost and bring them in.
So learn mwelekeo kombo ingine deadly ya these two water dispensers courtesy of Sona. Once umeingia pale kwa app na uzipata mbili, you are getting 3% off. So meaning hizi dispensers unazipata na only 4,429 Kenyan shillings. Na ukisema aje tumeshikana tukiwa watatu, worry less because nakupatia 5% off, getting them for only 6,499 Kenyan shillings on the Kilimall app. The good thing about the Sona water dispensers, they have a classy design for anywhere they are placed, whether in your office, your living room, or even in your business. And aside from that, they are energy saving and they come with a large compartment. So wale wakuweka tumblers na medicine hapo chini, you are good to go. So use the product code displayed on the screen to search for them on the Kilimall app or website and get to place your order. Remember, the more you shop, the more discounts that you get. Usikose hii.
You must think about how to bring them on board and become pragmatic about it. So you must seek out those who are outside. And that has been the nature of events in politics. And let me mention this very clearly. Even the opposition today, if they were given a chance to join President Ruto, I'm sure they will be running to do so. And if Ruto himself lost the election and got an opportunity to be invited in by whoever won the election, he would be the first person to run and join that government. In other words, we do not have principles in our national politics. And mark me, if Ruto were to lose 2027 election and whoever wins invites him, they will have breakfast the next day in the morning.
Considering that he described the Odinga-Kenyatta political relations as mongrel democracy for the elections. But Prof, does the death of Raila Odinga mark Kenya minus a voice of reason when we were on the brink, that voice that pulled the country back to sanity?
Actually, that's my fear, that a majority of the people we have in the opposition are driven by self-interest rather than national interests. And Raila Odinga was one person who was, I've watched him many, many years. I've worked with him during the Kofi Annan process. And one thing that comes out very clearly when he has got the national interest, he's got public interest, and he speaks much more about Kenya rather than talking about parochial interests. And he doesn't discuss small things. He's always thinking big. He's always asking very big questions. I think we are going to lack that voice, and we are going to lack that person with very big ideas about the future of the country. That's my fear, that we are not likely to have such a person who can stabilize the country with greater ease, and someone who respects the future and visionary in a visionary manner. That's where we have got a gap. But I must admit that we have got other people in government who probably may come up. Salim Davadi, for instance, when you look at the period of Kofi Annan peacemaking process, he stood out very clearly as a voice of reason in many ways. But I think because now he's a prime cabinet secretary, he doesn't play politics much, right? But let's pray for ourselves as a country and say that we need to have a leader who is visionary and who can stabilize the country. I think we are short of right at present.
All right, and I'm going to say amen to that. Praying for ourselves as a nation. But the question around succession, of course, has arisen, and we discussed, the political party, but also and on the national stage, but also the Odinga family. I think William Ruto at a certain point considered them one of the dynasties, political dynasties. Is Winnie Odinga, in your view, his natural successor?
It looks so. It looks as if Winnie is slowly fitting the shoes of her dad, given the manner in which she is speaking and the fact that she had become the dad's confidant. And she was with him throughout the 2022 elections. And she is an MP right now, meaning that she has gotten into politics herself. I think she's someone to watch and watch very carefully. And the second thing I think we have got to note about Winnie is that she's youthful and she has got a lot of command of the youth and the youth language. But you never know with politics.
So, and what did you make of her remarks today? Because she addressed the president and she said she's ready to come back home.
It sounded as if she was saying that she will look for a political seat. I think that's my interpretation. But coming home means it was not very clear whether she's talking about contesting in Nairobi, Lagat, of course, or going up country. But I guess not up country.
But Prof, that is in essence an invitation of mentorship, is it? That the president should lift up her political hand. But the father wasn't as such. In fact, there were serious disagreements when his father Jaramogi died, and the divide within Fort Kenya at the time, because Michael Kijana Olmo, the late, was the preferred choice of the father. And Raila weaved his political career. Should this political DNA not be biological and lying elsewhere, and someone else mushrooming from an unknown political part of the arena to be the next Odinga?
It will depend on the kind of fights that will be within ODM and how Winnie will strategize in those particular fights. Remember, leadership is not given on silver platter. You must show yourself by fighting very hard and grabbing it. Whether she is able to grab anything during the conflicts that are going to evolve, that's what will determine what she's made of. If she's not very strong and she's elbowed out, that will be very unfortunate. She will be out.
And in terms of succession, what do you see as having been Raila's succession plan in the political arena?
There is no African leader who prepares for succession. You cannot prepare another person to succeed you when you are alive, because you're inviting trouble. That is very common among African political leaders. You don't see them nurturing the young ones. In fact, ODM and any other political party you see around, we don't see that mentorship. People evolve.
Moi had a preference for his protege, Uhuru Kenyatta, though political novice at the time.
But is Uhuru Kenyatta a member of KANU today?
He isn't.
That's the question, right? And even the way he propped him up with sort of factionalized the party, it actually killed the party, if one can say that. That's what led to many people moving out of the party. Remember, leadership in a political party is about struggle. You must grab it. You must grab it and show that you have actually got the ability to mobilize constituencies, become a warrior for the party. Even to be a kingpin, and this is one problem also many Kenyans have got and do not get very clearly. To be a kingpin for any particular region, first of all, you must be their warrior, be able to identify with their grievances and show that you are the person who can actually stand for them, right, more than anyone else, and then be in a position to connect them to other regions or regional blocks or even the government. So far, I don't see in Luo Nyanza any warrior who is emerging. Well, we can see a few of them, but we haven't seen a real warrior who can say that I am the one fighting for the region and articulating their grievances. You must emerge as a warrior, first of all, and you take that space.
Okay. Lastly, in terms of broad-based arrangement, where do you see it moving forward? Because we've had repeated statements today and previous to today that ODM come 2027, if it is not in government, it will be a part of government.
Let me go back to the point I made earlier. Broad-based is actually about a coalition. It's an alliance, and it's the same alliance I was saying that that's the nature of deal making in Kenya. Broad-based is going to continue until the 2027 elections because it's a coalition. It's a coalition that has been formed after the events of the Gen Z protest that we had and the bolting out of the deputy president. So we are going to continue with the broad-based government, UDA and ODM up to 2027 elections. Maybe they will not split. Maybe they will bring others on board, and other coalitions will also be forming. Remember, as you form one group, those who are inside will bolt out, and then you get others in.
Right.
We usually say that politics in Kenya is always in a flux. The coalitions, the elite packs are always changing because it's a question of calculations. How do you calculate your chances of winning at the 2027 election? Who do you want to bring on board? Who would you like to shape out as you bring someone in? That's the broad-based government we have. It's a coalition. It's an alliance. Okay. They are giving it a different name.
All right. So we thank you, Professor Karuti Kanyinga, for sharing your insights tonight, even as you pay tribute to the late Raila Amolo Odinga.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
The Anglican Church of Kenya has set the record straight, stating that the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga was a faithful member of the church.
The church recalled how controversy followed the former Prime Minister, now late, even in the church when a white priest refused to baptize him because he lacked an English name.
He was only baptized after the intervention of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Willie
Lusige has that report.
Reports.
A remarkable and little-known side of Raila Amolo Odinga's life came to light on Sunday during his funeral service, with the Anglican church that presided over his burial revealed that the late opposition leader was baptized under controversial circumstances. Raila was fully baptized in the Anglican church, and therefore he was given a full Christian burial, even though his baptism was marked with controversy because the bishop refused to baptize him when his father Jaramogi chose the name Raila Odinga instead of a Christian name.
He was a faithful member.
Speaking before President William Ruto, senior government officials, and thousands of mourners at the Jaramogi Odinga University of Science and Technology, Bishop David Cody of the Anglican Diocese of Bondo said said Raila's baptism almost failed in the 1950s after a white priest objected to his traditional name.
He was baptized under controversial circumstances.
Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Raila's father and a strong advocate of African identity, insisted Raila retain his Luo names, rejecting the European names required by the church.
A white priest refused to baptize him because the father chose the name Raila Molo Odinga instead of a Mr. John or David or something else.
Unwilling to compromise, Jaramogi escalated the matter to the Church Missionary Society, which later ruled that African names were acceptable for baptism, but even after the ruling, no African priest was willing to defy tradition.
Due to the intervention from the Archbishop of Canterbury, Raila was baptized in the Anglican Church.
Even after baptism, Raila's confirmation took years. It was only after visiting the Archbishop of Canterbury in London that he was confirmed and allowed to partake in Holy Communion.
And before he died, it took him long before he was confirmed. Paid a visit to the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, and he was confirmed at Canterbury as a full member of the Anglican Church, given the right to take Holy Communion.
Despite all the challenges, Raila remained a staunch Anglican, regularly attending services at St. Peter's Church, Nyamira.
More so as Diocese of Bondo, we feel that this is one of the worst that has happened to us as a diocese. Losing a person of the cadre of Raila Molo Odinga.
Church leaders remember Raila as a man who listened to the church, to the people, and fought for justice and equality.
Raila was a politician who always listened to the ground. Let us always listen to the people of Kenya and make justice flow like a river.
Willie Lusige, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Thousands of mourners from across the country thronged the Jaramogi Odinga University of Science and Technology today to pay their final respects to the former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga.
Hundreds accompanied the cortege from the Odinga family home at Opoda Farm, maintaining calm as the convoy wound its way along the Bondo-Usenge Road.
A heavy contingent of security officers were deployed to ensure order throughout the funeral service and at the final burial rite at the Kango Jaramogi in Bondo. Laura Otieno reports from Bondo in Siaya County.
By 6 a.m. Sunday, a multitude had already made their way to the Jaramogi Odinga University grounds. Some spent the night at the grounds, dreading the thought of missing a place to follow the proceedings. Mourners from across the country flocked to the grounds, carrying placards, some doing ODM colors, while some wore badges bearing the image of Odinga.
Legal engineering.
Here to give one final salute to their general.
Mimi sikuona yeye, lakini jana niliona yeye, lakini baada ya kuona yeye nilikuja mpaka hapa Bondo. Sasa hivi bado niko Bondo mpaka Bondo amesikwa. Lakini mimi naomba watu wa ODM wakumbuke Raila. Kama unajua Raila ndio ya ukweli, unajua Raila yenye amekufanyia hata bibi na watoto, tafadhali chama ya Raila isikufe. Tulitoka jana saa 4 tukafika hapa saa 12 leo asubuhi. Hatukulala, hatuwezi lala. Tumehuzunika sana madam.
At 10 minutes to 9 a.m., the flashing lights of the motorbike outriders illuminated the Bondo-Usenge Road. There was heavy traffic, but the army officers used their power to clear paving the way for the cortege. Slowly snaking in, and the former Prime Minister's body was wheeled into a hero's welcome. Guarded and guided by the Kenya Defense Forces, the coffin was laid on the awaiting catafalque. As the state entourage arrived, the preliminary steps involved paying respects to the late Odinga.
May the choir of angels welcome you, our brother Raila.
And as the choir church took over the service, there were more rites. A dash of culture sprinkled as speakers invoked the unseen. The crowd getting ecstatic with each chant. All this time, the university grounds remained heavily guarded, with hundreds of security officers from the Kenya Defense Forces, National Police Service, and other security agencies lining the roads from the university to the Kamu Kajaramogi. At 4:30 p.m., the funeral process left the university grounds for the final time before an emotional crowd, making the final journey to Kamu Kajaramogi for the final rites. That, too, was a security operation of what had promised to be a heavily populated event, became the first ever state funeral in the Nyanza region since independence. One last ride, one final salute. The foot soldiers of ODM leader Raila Odinga came in their numbers to catch a glimpse for the last time of the general that shaped Kenya's political discourse for decades. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV, in Bondo, Siaya County. Thousands of Kenyans from all the 47 counties and even from the diaspora who could not attend the burial of the late Raila Odinga converged in various locations and online to follow the historic event.
And as Crispin Otieno tells us in the following report, Kenyans showered praises on the fallen leader who they described as a buffer against repressive authoritarian dictatorship.
It has been a week of sorrow and reflection for Kenyans from all walks of life.
Fellow politicians,
Kenyans across the country took a break from their daily routines to follow the historic event on giant screens set up in major towns. In Kisumu County, this was the mood in areas such as Kondele and Nyalenda. Residents filled with deep sorrow as they followed the proceedings. In Kapsaret constituency in Uasin Gishu County, hundreds of residents gathered at designated centers praising their member of parliament for providing facilities that enabled them to follow the event live from Bodo.
Mimi kama kijana ya rais nimehuzunishwa sana na kifo cha Agwambo, ambapo sisi kama watu wa Broadest Government urafiki na ugrupa wa karibu sana, kwa sababu sisi zote tumekuwa kama mmoja.
Tutakaa penye mzee ametuacha. Kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba Wajaluo wenzangu tusimame imara na tusiwe baso yetu, wachache mambo ya kutoka huku na kutoka huku.
In the Gusii region, residents of Kisii and Nyamira converged in entertainment joints and community centers to follow the events. Many of them emotional as they recall the contributions of the late Raila Odinga in struggle for democracy.
Mimi nimekuja kujua huyu mzee miaka mingi sana kupitia mambo ya sports. Mwisho nikiwa na mzee alituita hapa Gusii Stadium. That was 2018. Raila Odinga instructed me when they wanted to arrest Matiang'i. I remember very well, Dr. Fred Matiang'i called me and told me the DCI is coming to arrest me. You have very good books with Raila Odinga. Call Raila Odinga to come and help me.
In Malindi County, also gathered in different venues to pay their respects, saying Raila's impact on their lives will never be forgotten.
Kusema kweli, baba amekuwa mtetezi wa manyonge, ametusaidia, ametutetea kwa mambo mengi.
Hizi program ambapo kwamba tumefanya ni katika hali ya kufariji wa Kenya na taifa kwa ujumla pamoja na ulimwengu.
In Nandi County, the governor joined elders from the Khaled community to mourn Raila Odinga, heaping praises for his contribution to nurture democracy and devolved units.
We are here as a community. We are condoning with the family of Raila Odinga, but we are also here to remember the assassination of our leader and that it is now 120 years.
Similar scenes were witnessed in Mombasa and Migori, where residents stand out in large numbers to be part of the historic moment.
Ndamkumbuka mzee kwa kuwa kwamba kuna vile alikuwa mzee wa kupenda amani na kupenda na kuishi na watu wote na kabila zote kwa amani.
And beyond Kenya's borders, Kenyans in the United States, from Texas, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Minnesota, and Ohio, followed the state funeral live, many holding candlelight vigils in his honor.
And I'm from Dallas, Texas. Today, I'll be talking about Raila Odinga's passing. Everyone, including us, are very sad to hear that our great leader has gone.
Nafuatilia safari ya baba kutoka maeneo ya Pennsylvania, United States of America. Kwa niaba ya Wakenya wote na wakazi wa Pennsylvania, nichukua fursa hii kutuma rambirambi zetu.
In Dubai, members of the Kenyan community gathered with candles to mourn and stand in solidarity with the Odinga family. Well, as Kenya's former Prime Minister Raila Odinga exits the stage with his head high after championing for what he believed was the best for this country, a new chapter opens. Kenyans continue to appeal to the political class to proceed with this legacy for posterity. Crispin Otieno for Citizen TV.
All right, let's take a look at some of your tributes. Remember, the X-handles were at Obaros.
At Ayub Abdikadir, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag was, of course, this is our area of operation on Sundays, Citizen Sunday Live.
Sunday Live. This is Dennis Ondari 10, who says to our president, William Ruto, may God bless you for according Baba a state funeral that was indeed a befitting send-off. Baba must be at peace.
Next one is from Wabi, says, I never knew the true meaning of an enigma until Baba's demise. He will truly live on, and I would love to believe that he is not dead to me.
Indeed, may his spirit live on. This is Frank Orinde, who says Baba has been laid to rest, but his spirit and the values he stood for, justice, equity, and democracy, will live on forever. May his sacrifices continue to inspire generations to fight for a better Kenya. May your soul rest in peace, Raila Odinga. We will miss you, Jacob.
The next is from Mangara Solution 3, says, Raila's death has left a huge gap in Kenyan political arena, and it shall never be filled. There will be no one like him. May God rest his soul in a peaceful place.
This is Felix Mutinda 254. Today, I remember Baba, a man whose courage, vision, and unwavering spirit shaped our nation. His legacy of resilience and dedication to justice will forever remain in our hearts. May his soul rest in peace.
And analyst _Phil says Raila Odinga was a true champion of democracy, a child of independence. He endured decades of struggle and sacrifice for the broader cause of freedom and self-governance in Kenya.
This is Frank Kenyatta 254, who says, as a young citizen, I am proud of all that Baba has done. He's gone, but his legacy will drive us to fight for and defend our rights in case of violations.
And Mr. Arnold says, today we bid farewell to a patriot, a mentor, a unifier, and a believer in Africa's potential. His journey reminds us that true greatness lies not in personal gain, but in the relentless pursuit of the common good. Rest well, Jacob.
Calvin Nyaribo, today we laid Baba to rest, yet it still feels unreal. He was more than a leader, he was hope, courage, and the soul of a nation. Like Achilles and Orpheus, his spirit will never fade. Rest well, Raila Odinga. You are our light, and you still are.
The next is from Impact Borderland, says, we cannot stretch time, but we can deepen it. Lives become larger than their length when they are poured into causes bigger than their comfort. Raila's sunset invites each of us to take inventory. What am I building that will outlive my timeline?
What a profound question. Now, Ayub, it's been a roller coaster of days since Wednesday, the 15th of October, when news of Raila Odinga's demise broke.
And of course, before we appreciate our camera personnel here are some of the captivating moments that were captured since the former Prime Minister's, the body of the former Prime Minister's arrival in the country on Thursday this week.
Fellow citizens, it is with deep sorrow that I inform the nation of the passing on of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. A very good morning to you, around 001. Administrative with the 030 at 05 clear to land.
That's route 001.
When you were growing up, they used to call you Aluo. And then when you started work, they started calling you Jaramogi's son. And at some point, they started to call you Tinga. At another point, they started to call you Aguambo. Briefly there, they called you Nyundo. They called you Jacob. They called you Baba Fidel. But in the end, they called you Baba.
Moving tribute.
Yeah, the grandson of a great statesman. Of course, not failing to forget the tight timelines. The president very appreciated how everything seemed to have pointed to the direction of complexity. The 72-hour timeline, the repatriation of the body, the public viewing in Nairobi, Kisumu, and Mbondo. And here is one that appreciates that committee briefly. What a profound, meticulous, and patriotic execution of a national assignment by the National State Funeral Committee, co-chaired by the Deputy President, Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki, and Siaya County Senator Oburu Odinga. The dedication, the energy, the grit, and the strategic planning resulted in truly solemn, orderly, and dignified send-off for the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Kudos and thanks to the DP, Kithure Kindiki, and the team. And here I can add the voice for our son here, Francis Gashuri, who has been efficient in coordinating all these events and giving us those very incredible pictures from the processions in Nairobi and also in Kisumu.
Yes, and even as we appreciate those efforts, we do regret the loss of life and injury. We say good night.
And before that, Olive, this is very important. It's worth mentioning because those beautiful pictures were courtesy of our camera personnel. So allow me to also appreciate them. Of course, first is to thank the head of our camera unit, Collins Okongo, for the meticulous planning and the deployment of our team from day one. Moses Mwakisha, Hebron Kinyoda, Sean, Eddie, Otieno, that's Oti, Painkiller, Basil, Odwor, that is Mauritius, Mohammed Dida, Gitonga, who was with me in Haiti and in America, Isinta, who was also very instrumental, and Jeffrey for the incredible and the work that you have put in. Not forgetting the OB team led by Bwana Karanja, who are in Kisumu, but because of this call, have gone to Bondo in Siaya County.
And the entire Royal Media Services team for going above and beyond under the leadership of our editorial director, Linus Kai. So we thank you for staying with us, and we will continue to remember the life and times of Raila Odinga as we bid you a good night on Citizen Sunday Live tonight, Yulanzale included. We do leave you with this Jamaican farewell
that Raila loved. And good night.
To say I'm on my way, won't be back for many days. My head is down, my head is turning around. I had to laterally a little girl in Kingston Town.